When I first started in this business, I was just crazy scared of raising prices. I thought that if I raised prices, that I was going to lose my clients, or that they were going to go somewhere else, and that it was, everyone shopped completely off of price, and that we were just another commodity. And in many cases, the dry cleaning business is a commodity, but there are, of course, ways to not be a commodity. Otherwise, the one price cleaners would have taken over at this point, right? The $1.75 or $2.50 or $3.75 cleaners, those flat rate guys, they would have just killed everyone. I mean, if it was a complete commodity, obviously, there's a lot more that goes into it. But when I first started, I was so scared of raising prices. I thought that I was never going to be able to raise prices, or that it was going to take years. And we started out at $1.25 dress shirts, and I know many of you probably even started less than that, but that's where we were. And $1.25 for a dress shirt, isn't that much compared to where we are today at $2.15, almost $1 more, right? So raising prices was something that should make you nervous if you don't have a lot of experience with it. The guys who do have a lot of experience are like, hey, I love raising prices. I raise them every year. I even heard one guy raises them monthly. He goes up like 1 penny every, or maybe it was more than that, but it was like a penny every month or 2 pennies every month. And I was like, wow, okay, that's a little different. Sounds like a lot of work, but there you go, right? You got to raise prices. You got to do it on a regular basis. We prefer to do it annually. So when I was first getting ready to start thinking about this, and what actually got me thinking about it when I was first in the business was that my cleaner was pushing me to raise prices. And I'm like, I don't know. Because for those of you who don't know, I didn't own the actual dry cleaner. We subcontract that out. I just owned the pickup and delivery business, so I could focus on the marketing and the customer service and sort of the running and managing of the business, right? So I was really definitely very concerned about raising these prices, and I called the two people who were mentors of mine when we first got started to get some help with it. And what I came up with was their secret for raising prices. And the funny thing is both their secrets were basically the same secret, said in a slightly different way. And I'm going to share that secret with you. And you know what? Here's the great part about it. It's really simple. One is you definitely want to raise prices typically annually, but you don't want to just pick numbers out of there and be like, oh, I'm going to charge this much over here, and I decide this much over here. I mean, you want to have a little bit of a science behind it. So you want to call around to maybe your local competitors, and if you're just a store raising prices over the counter, that might only be like 2 or 3 guys. If you're a route, that could be maybe 10 guys. But whoever sort of your biggest competitors are, you want to find out what their prices are. Okay. Now, just because they've got a price of, say, $5.50 on a blouse doesn't mean that you need to be $5.50 on a blouse. Okay, you might be $5.95, and that's perfectly fine. But it's a good idea to know that you're not just way out there in left field, right? So you're going to call around. You're going to do this competitive analysis and look up the information. Once you have that information, you're going to go ahead and sort of find out what the average is. And the way I usually do this is if I got one guy, it seems a lot of towns have one guy who's like super high. Everyone else is $12 for a suit. He's $19 for a suit, right? So that guy gets taken out. And obviously, I'm not going to call any flat rate cleaners. If you've got a $2.75 cleaner in town, I'm not going to call those guys. Okay, so just regular dry cleaners. I guess the exception would be is if you were a $2.75 cleaner, right? And then there were a bunch of other $2.75 cleaners. Then you'd obviously want to check around what everyone else is doing there. But just that's going to give you an idea. Are you going way out in left field? What I found when we go and raise prices, I take a look at that, and what I then look at is I look at my number one competitor. Who's the guy that is probably my biggest competitor? And I like to try to keep my shirt price, if at all possible, the same as theirs, or a little bit less. Which is fine. Because what we found, and what I was told the secret was, is that everyone watches the shirt price. Okay, so you still got to go up on them, but that's the price that most people notice. So if you change if you keep the shirt price just maybe slightly artificially low, but you increase the price on everything else, you'll actually make more money. Now, another secret that they gave me was never, ever, ever announce a price increase. Do not stick a sign up on your door. Don't put it in your newsletter. Don't leave a flyer at everyone's door saying, hey, I'm going to increase my prices. That's the fastest way to make everyone go out and shop you and make everyone go out and look for a different cleaner, okay? So you never ever do that. And if you think there's some moral or ethical problem, don't worry about it. There's not, the store does not, when you go to the grocery store and they raise the price of milk a quarter, or when the price of gas goes up, they don't sit there and say, oh, hey, by the way, everything's more expensive, right? So you definitely don't want to announce a price increase. It's about the worst thing you can do. And if you've done that in the past and you feel the blowback, that might be why you're like, I don't want to raise prices. I hate raising prices, right? And then the last thing, the last secret was to do it in the off season. It's sort of like when a president doesn't want a story to really get a lot of press. They announce it at 4:30 on Friday, right? So you want to do it in the off season. So for us, that would typically be July. And so, July, maybe August, those would be the slower months, right? So you want to raise your prices in your slower months. Less people are obviously going to pay attention, and they're typically more busy, because that's usually what it is. Most people are slow in, say, July, and that's because everyone's traveling, they're not wearing as much dry cleaning, and so they're just not paying as much attention. So if you'll go ahead and do those 3 steps, you'll find that raising prices really isn't a bad thing. In fact, it'll be a great thing, because when you look at the math behind it, of course, costs go up throughout the year, but if you've just been eating those right now. So when you raise prices, if you raise prices 10 cents a shirt and you're doing 500 shirts a day, then you've just made 50 cents or $50 more per day, and you're not doing anything else. I mean, it's the same 500 shirts that you were doing. Okay, so at the end of the month, you put an extra $1,000 in profit in your pocket. And if you raise everything across the board 10 cents, and maybe you're doing 1,500 pieces a day, well, now you made an extra $150 a day. So it's really a good thing to just basically increase your prices. Typically do it annually. Like I said, don't just pull it out of the air. Don't just be like, oh, I'm going to do this price. Do a little competitive research, but don't be afraid to be more expensive than your competitors. Most people are comparing, if anything, they're comparing shirts. And even that, we've been more expensive than our competitors many times on shirts and never lost a customer. So that's the big secret for raising prices. And so really the best thing to do right now is just make a strategy. Find a plan. Find a time that's going to work for you. Plan it out. Figure out what your price increase might be, and then sort of work that plan. All right, hey, thanks for watching the video. I'll see you next time. Take care.